My name is Sandy Adomaitis, the social media director for the Page International Screenwriting Awards, and your host for the Writers Hangout, a podcast that celebrates the many stages of writing, from inspiration to the first draft, revising, getting a project made, and everything in between. We'll talk to the best and the brightest in the entertainment industry and create a space where you can hang out, learn from the pros, and have fun. Hey, writers and friends, it's Sandy coming to you from Studio City, the crown jewel of the San Fernando Valley. In today's show, I'll provide an update on the ongoing saga of It Ends With Us. Plus, I'm going to break down the shocking news we all woke up to this morning. Gene Hackman and his wife, Betsy Arakawa, were found dead in their home in Santa Fe, Arizona. So bizarre. Now, when I previously reported about Blake and Baldoni, we discussed the uncut footage, the voice memo, and the mockery in Deadpool with Nice Pool. A review. Blake Lively has accused Justin Baldoni of sexual harassment on the set of It Ends With Us, on Netflix now if you want to see it, and claims that after she objected to his behavior, Baldoni collaborated with his PR team to orchestrate an online smear campaign aimed at damaging her reputation. Meanwhile, Baldoni is accusing Lively and her husband, Ryan Reynolds, of making false allegations and attempting to sabotage his career. Additionally, he has sued the New York Times, which has reported on Lively's harassment allegations. Now we have 3 more updates. Number 1, the New York Times wants out of the Blake and Baldoni business. Number 2, Blake says Baldoni makes 2 other women on set uncomfortable. Number 3, Blake admits to ruffling feathers. Number 1, the New York Times wants out of the Blake and Baldoni business. I'm going to read parts of an article from the Hollywood Reporter. I'm not going to read the whole thing, by Winston Chow. The New York Times, which had a hand in igniting the public war of words between Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni by publishing a story over alleged misconduct in the filming of It Ends With Us, has moved to dismiss a defamation lawsuit accusing it of conspiring with the actress' public relations team to advance a distorted narrative. The Times, in a motion filed in New York federal court on Friday, defends its reporting, arguing that the allegedly defamatory statement Baldoni has taken issue with are true and fair characterizations of the events that unfolded on the set of the movie. Throughout their blunderbuss complaint, I love that word, blunderbuss complaint, the Wayfair parties seek to drag the Times into their larger feud with Lively, states the filing. But the only thing the Times is, in fact, alleged to have done is engaged in news gathering and publishing an article and video about the Wayfair Lively dispute. The Times argues that it is protected by fair report privilege, which protects outlets from libel when accurately reporting on official documents. Because the story relied on the complaint filed with the California Civil Rights Department, it points to language in the article including, according to a legal complaint, and it claims, used to describe Lively's allegations. So basically it says, before it states anything, it's not saying it's fact, it's saying according to the legal complaint. In his lawsuit, Baldoni took issue with the Times receiving a copy of Lively's complaint before it was filed and allegedly neglected to investigate her allegations. He also said the story should have included the reasons why Nathan was hired to bury Lively. Interesting. Okay, moving on. Number 2, Blake says Baldoni makes 2 other women on set uncomfortable. If this is true, this is a bombshell to me, at least, because of course we can't believe 1 woman and we don't want to believe 2 women, but 3 women, some people who don't believe might start to come on to a Blake's side. Okay. On February 18th, 2025, lawyers for Blake Lively filed an amendment complaint that included Baldoni's behavior made at least 2 additional unnamed female cast members uncomfortable, and that both of those women brought their complaints to Lively, who documented them in writing and reported them to higher ups on the film. The complaint references Baldoni's unwelcome behavior, but does not specify exactly what he is accused of doing. The suit claims Baldoni was made aware of at least one of the additional cast members' concerns and responded to her in writing at the time, promising adjustments would be made, but alleges he instead launched a PR campaign to discredit any future claims made against him. Again, if this is true, that's big. And of course, everyone assumes the 2 other actors are Jenny Slate, who plays Alyssa, Blake's friend and Baldoni's sister in the movie, and Isabella Fiara, who played young Lily Bloom. Now, I keep hearing that Jenny's complaint was actually that she was upset about her accommodations that the movie made for her, that set her up and I guess her baby, and she didn't feel that the accommodations were appropriate. I'm not quite sure where that came from, where that rumor came from, but that doesn't really make any sense to me, because if an actor doesn't like their accommodations, their agent calls the studio, which remember was Baldoni's company, and complains. But if you're the line producer, you don't want to bother him with that kind of stuff. You just want to come to him with problems that you need him to decide. And if you're the production company, you do not need the director to say, okay, Jenny, let's get you a 3-bedroom suite so your nanny can also have a bedroom or something like that. I don't think Justin needs to be in a discussion like that. And if you are Justin's producing partner and you're bringing problems like that to Justin, then maybe the problem therein lies with the producer. Going back to the amendments, I keep seeing other things online saying that it's unheard of for Blake to come out and amend her complaint. I'm not quite sure why. She can't be the first person to come out with an amendment. But what I'm thinking is happening is because Baldoni seems to be winning the PR wars and everyone is against Blake, maybe Blake was just like, I'm begging you guys. I'm just begging you suits. I'm taking so many hits in the public eye. Can you just put out this information that we know about the 2 other women? Can we just do an amendment? It has been leaked for a while, but let's put it in an amendment that makes it more real. You got to help me out here. Maybe that's what was going on with that. Number 3, Blake ruffles feathers. Now, on February 11th of this year, a 3-year-old video interview of Blake Lively admitting to Forbes magazine she ruffles feathers in the film industry by attempting to have more authorship over her projects has gone viral. In a resurfaced interview from a 2022 Forbes Power Women's Summit, Lively said following directions as an actress wasn't fulfilling for me, and that she received backlash for stepping in and trying to be part of costume design, writing, and other aspects of the project. She said she's had writers, producers, and directors welcome that and invite that, and others who resent her for stepping on toes. She also said that she hasn't always been upfront with her plans to step into other parts of a project when she was hired hired as an actress and that she would reveal that I actually need to have authorship in order to feel fulfilled. Sometimes that might have felt like a rug pull. Okay, so she's saying that she's done some baiting and switching in her career. Look, she's been acting for 28 years. So yes, I am sure she walks on set with opinions. And remember, Baldoni was the one who said over and over, I'm a feminist. I want to listen to women. I make mistakes. I'll apologize. He's the one on the voicemail memo who was shocked to hear her stories of what she has gone through in the industry and wants to make sure that he isn't one of those schmucks. So yeah, she had opinions on set. She had opinions about the wardrobe. I know. This is the worst wardrobe in the history of the movies. I completely agree. I've also heard that her opinions cost the budget to go over by $500,000. First of all, if you are producers and your lead actress bullies you into spending over $500,000 of wardrobe, ugly or not, that's on you guys. You got to be able to handle your actors and budget and wardrobe and figure something out. You can't lay that at the feet of the actor or you just have to learn how to be a producer. Okay, that is our Justin and Blake update. And my goodness, Hollywood awoke to the shocking news this morning that actor Gene Hackman, 95, was found dead in his Santa Fe home, along with his wife, Betsy Arakawa, and their dog. I wish I knew the name of the dog. I have not found that yet. A sheriff in Santa Fe, New Mexico, stated that Gene likely passed away on, are you ready? February 17th, 9 days before the bodies were discovered. Now, my first thought was, who is Betsy Arakawa? And did she kill her husband, Gene, the beloved Hackman? Immediately, I was bumped by her name. Do Betsy's kill? No. Betsy sew and make lemonade on hot days. Then I thought, I wonder how long they've been married. If it's been 6 months, I'm back to Betsy being a person of interest. Guess how long they've been married? 34 years. So there goes that theory out the window for me. Now, what has Gene been up to? He spent his last years painting and writing, and he gives Betsy flowers. In an interview with the podcast Writer's Bone, Gene credited Betsy for helping him develop his writing voice. If I indeed have a style, it originated from repeated edits, friends' suggestions, and my wife's unwavering specific read-throughs. Now, we all know who Gene Hackman is, but who's Betsy? Betsy grew up in Hawaii and studied to become a classical pianist. She moved to Los Angeles after high school and attended USC. She got a degree in social sciences and communication. She worked as a production assistant on Card Sharks, which was a television game show, and as a cheerleader for the Los Angeles Aztecs, a professional soccer team. She sounds like a really very interesting woman. Now, how did Gene and Betsy meet? A 1989 New York Times Magazine story says they met while Betsy was working part-time in a California fitness center. Writers, in the early 90s, sports clubs were in, and celebrities at sports clubs was a thing. This was all inspired by what? Of course, the movies. A little film called Perfect, starring John Travolta and Jamie Lee Curtis. Gene moved to Santa Fe after filming some movies there. When he married Betsy in 1991, the couple both moved into the Adobe home together. While Gene Hackman never formally retired from acting, he did say he didn't want to keep pressing and risk going out on a sour note. Gene did a lot of writing in his later years and collaborated with a friend on 3 historic novels and wrote Paperback at Morning Peak in 2011, which was a Western, and Pursuit in 2013, a thriller. Now, Barbara Linehan, the wife of Hackman's co-author and a friend of the couple for almost 30 years, told the New York Times that Betsy would type on the computer her husband's books that he wrote longhand, assisting with edits and sharing her opinions about the characters. She was very involved with what he did. She made it very possible for him to do it. What happened? Let's set the scene. On Wednesday, February 26th, a maintenance worker drove up the winding mountain road from downtown Santa Fe to the secluded adobe home of Gene and Betsy. When no one answered the door, the worker asked local security to do a welfare check. This was a gated community, so the maintenance worker showed up. When no one would answer a knock on the door, he went probably to the front gate to get someone to help him. They arrived and saw unresponsive bodies through the window. They called 911. Okay, let's step back. I've worked for celebrities in their homes. There is rarely a time when there isn't an assistant, a housekeeper, a handyman, a gardener, or a landscaper on the property for 9 days. And where did I get 9 days? The Santa Fe County Sheriff said during a press conference held last Friday that it appeared that several days, possibly even up to a couple of weeks, had passed since the couple had died. The last event recorded on Mr. Hackman's pacemaker was on February 17th, adding that it was a very good assumption that he died that day. Again, I've worked on these estates. Maintenance workers show up all the time. There is always a ton of things to do on the property, and they go and they do what they have to do. They rarely knock on the front door and ask for instructions. I'm not saying that I think the maintenance worker is suspicious. I just think some of the reporting is going to change as we hear more details. So again, it just feels off to me that this couple was alone for at least 9 days, maybe longer, at this secluded property. He's 95, she's 64. Now, Betsy could have called staff and said, "Don't come in." Would someone on staff find that odd? Will we find out later? Betsy called the house manager and said, "We don't need you for a week or so," or here's, $10,000, go on a trip. Don't come to the property. Okay, warning writers and friends, the following may be triggering to some people. Deputies found Betsy lying on her side on the bathroom floor with a space heater near her head. An open prescription bottle and scattered pills were near her and on the counter in the bathroom. Betsy's body showed signs of decomposition as well as mummification in both hands and feet. Now, mummification occurs when dead tissue turns into hard shrunken mass, and this is often from dehydration. When an individual dies, the body starts, naturally decomposing almost immediately, and mummification can occur in dry, hot environments, which Santa Fe is. They had 3 German Shepherds. One was found dead in her carrier near Betsy, and 2 other dogs were found alive outside the property. I mean, what the heck? Did Betsy put the dog in the carrier? I don't see it. Was she in her right mind? Did somebody, a third party, put the dog in the carrier to get it out of the way? Who died first? Betsy or Gene? Gene Hackman's body lay in the mudroom in a condition similar to Betsy. He was in gray sweatpants, a blue long-sleeve t-shirt, and brown slippers. His cane was nearby with a pair of sunglasses. One of the deputies on the scene remarked that it appeared that he had suddenly fallen. I guess because the cane was nearby, that would be the proof that he suddenly fell to this officer. Okay, the Santa Fe Fire Department did not find signs of a carbon monoxide leak, saying, when I first read the headline about this couple found dead in their home, I thought, I didn't even know her name yet, but I thought, oh, the wife may have committed a murder-suicide. Betsy at 63 was younger than Gene at 95, so I figured she was the perpetrator. Then when I learned his pacemaker stopped, I wondered if she found her husband dead, couldn't handle it, slipped into a psychotic episode, and ultimately ended everything. Maybe she was there with the body for a while, had this psychotic break, but then I think, but no, she would never leave her husband of over 30 years lying on the floor. If it was an accidental death she couldn't handle, she wouldn't put a dog in a crate. I did not even know this woman existed as of 24 hours ago, but everything I've read about her doesn't scream murderer, murderess, murderer to me. Just doesn't. Now, the state official of the medical investigator spokesperson, Chris Ramirez said, a final cause of death may take anywhere from 4 to 6 weeks to complete, and a toxicology report could take even longer, 3 months or more. Writers and friends, what do you think happened to Gene Hackman? Let me know on Instagram or write me at the Writers Hangout podcast at gmail.com. I would love to know your theories.
And that's a wrap for the Writers Hangout. Thanks so much for listening. If you enjoyed the show, please take a moment to leave us a review on Apple Podcasts. Your positive feedback will help us keep the show going so we can continue bringing you more future episodes. Remember, keep writing. The world needs your stories. The Writers Hangout is sponsored by the Page International Screenwriting Awards with executive producer Kristin Overn, producers Sandy Adomaitis, and myself, Terry Sampson. And our music is composed by Ethan Stoller.